Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by our co-host, Michael Cohen. Where do we begin? Should we start with what in the world is going on with Donald Trump's VP pick, J.D. Vance, as more footage of him is unearthed from the past, him saying horrible things about a threat to democracy, his cat ladies, childless cat ladies, horrific things like that. Also, he kind of seems like almost like George Santos, but I think even George Santos would be like a better pick. I mean, like, who is this J.D. Vance?
I don't know, but that second clip that you just showed a second ago, that to me is the one that's going to, I think, hurt him even more than the stupid, that one right there. How J.D. Vance went from thinking he was gay and changing his name. You know, he changed his name not twice. I heard he changed it 4 times. I don't know if you saw, but I put out a post on X. Doesn't he look like the kid from 2.5 Men?
You know, yeah, and there's just so many.
But by the way, I don't understand that whole article. He thought he was gay, but he's not. And then there's sex with the couch, and
yeah, the couch was a rumor. AP, just to be clear, having the couch. This is what AP posted. No, J.D. Vance did not have sex with a couch, but then AP removed that. So now that page is unavailable. So some of the media were asking if the Associated Press retracted its fact check article denying.
Listen, it's very easy to find. It's very easy to get the answer. I'm sure the couch had probably a child because he doesn't believe in abortion.
I guess we should identify the couch or the couches at issue here. But look, the fact, you know, Donald Trump better than just about anybody. And Donald Trump's all about appearances and image. So the fact that his VP pick, which was kind of pushed on him by some of those tech bros like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, and also by his kids, Don Jr. was instrumental in pushing J.D. Vance. So now you get J.D. Vance, who's out there having to deny whether or not he had sex with a couch. And as all of these clips are circulating of him like picking his nose and, you know, him saying all of these like hateful things and statements that he's for, where he's Donald Trump, America's Hitler. So, you know, Trump, you think Trump's going to fire this guy, Cohen?
No. Okay. So I've been asked that question now about 12.5 times. And here's my thoughts onto this. First things first. Donald Trump does not believe that any press is bad press. And I'm sure you've heard him say that many, many times. However,
so he's into the couch story.
No. So that's if it relates to him, that he is the headline story, that his picture is there and it has his name in it. Now the fact that Vance, that shady Vance, his picture is all over, whether it's having sex with a couch or making a abominable misogynistic comment like the cat lady and being childless when referring to Kamala Harris, or going back to this LGBTQ plus, that he was having an identity issue at one point in his life, and that he went from thinking that he was gay to changing his name and so on. Look, let me be very clear about it. This is not engendering any positive feeling, because Donald is always petrified that somebody will get more press than him. It's not a question about whether the press is good press or bad press. It's about just the fact that he's getting this amount of press. And I am certain that he is fucking pissed right now with Don Jr. and Peter Thiel, the two people that, from my understanding, are the ones that pushed Donald into going for J.D. Vance, because the rumors that I heard from people is that Donald was really contemplating, believe it or not, Nikki Haley. All right. And the determination was that no, J.D. Vance covers a better portion of the people that not only he has, but that he wants to get, et cetera, et cetera. This is not going to engender any positive feelings. But here's the question, Ben, and this is so unprecedented. How come it's everything with Donald is unprecedented? Can he actually fire the vice president or the nominee, considering he received the electoral votes in order to make him, right, the vice presidential nominee by the RNC? They're the ones that ended up, I believe, putting him forward. And then it had to, I don't know how it would work, because technically he's not really working for the president, right? And this is all part of the RNC. The whole thing is so confusing. And I have actually tried to look it up. But then again, since it's so unprecedented, there's absolutely nothing on it. So it's kind of like my speculation is worth as much as the next guy, which is technically not worth anything at all. How would the process go for Donald to turn around and to say, you know what, I've had enough of this buffoon. He's ruining the ticket. We need to bring somebody else in. I don't know the answer.
What you'd probably do is you'd have to request that he resign, and then you would do some sort of virtual convention where you just bring the delegates back to kind of rubber stamp the ticket online, is probably how you would go about doing it procedurally. But we will see. So now,
but here's the thing too. But before we jump off of this, because this is an incredible debate to have since it's so unprecedented. Would he really resign and turn around and say, you know what, I'm not in a place where I can do this, or I don't want to do it? Wouldn't that sort of be the end of his political career? And J.D. Vance has the same sort of narcissistic desires and the same sort of personality disorder as the guy who ended up asking him to be his vice presidential, to be the vice presidential nominee. So I don't really know. I just don't know whether or not Vance is willing to throw away his political
entire career. The guy changed his identity like 4 times in his life. He changed his whole personality 2 years ago to get here today. Who does that? Who changes every aspect of your life and identity the way he did? And now he got what he wanted, and he is being shamed and humiliated and embarrassed and laughed at on the biggest stage possible. It's like
what George Santos did, right? I mean, he changed his name and identity a whole bunch of times.
But George Santos,
this is more gross.
This is way more gross. George Santos at least had like charisma. It was funny. Like there was like an aspect of it that was horrific and horrible and all of the worst things. But like Santos was like so bizarre, and in his own mind, he kind of knew it, that he played to it. So kind of afterwards, there was a little bit of, what that was really embarrassing, but like he played to it. Now, J.D. Vance being confronted with couches and J.D. Vance being confronted with all of this past, he is such a fraud and a phony that he doesn't even know how to adapt to this now that this is all surfacing. So it makes it that much worse. From his whole story is bogus, right? The whole thing that he grew up in Appalachia and that he was this hillbilly, the whole thing is a fake. The guy grew up in the suburbs of Cincinnati. He grew up in the suburbs. He left to work in Silicon Valley. He made a lot of money working in tech for Peter Thiel. He moved back to Ohio, created a sham charity. He wrote this book that's all of these stereotypes on hillbillies that he doesn't know because he was not one. He's not even from the place he claimed to be. So if you actually speak to people from Appalachia, the first thing they'll say is pronounce it right. And then the second thing they'll say is, he's not one of us. Who is this guy? And it's all rooted in that. And then he creates a sham charity over there where he says, I'm going to help the opioid issues here, and actually does no money to opioid addiction. And he uses it to fund his own pollsters and political campaign. He funds like one researcher, and that researcher worked for Purdue Pharma, putting OxyContin on the street. The guy is the biggest phony that there is. And that's also why he's so awkward up there, because there's nothing authentic about him. So he thinks for him to be authentic Appalachia, for him to do that, he's going to go, oh, right, well, we're gonna speak out against cat ladies. Oh, that's going to make me an alpha. It makes you a moron. It makes you it makes you an idiot. It makes you a
sexist, misogynistic jerk off.
And now, Cohen, the Trump campaign is on the defensive. They're saying, oh, it's taken out of context. It's taken out. They don't know how to deal with it. And they look so weak. Really? You think this is
how do you deal with it? Because that issue of infertility or inability to carry to term is not a Republican issue. It's not an independent issue, nor is it a Democratic issue. It is an unfortunate issue that many women in America deal with. And this is the one thing that my wife was explaining to me before. Every single woman out there knows somebody who has had a difficult time in terms of conceiving. And an attack on one in this case is an attack on all. And that's where this jerk off put his foot right up his own ass. And there is no way. And I put this out in a post after I had the conversation with my wife. I turned around and I said, he owes every single woman in this country and around the world, he owes them an apology. There is no explanation. So I don't even believe he needs to provide one, because whatever explanation he tries to give is one that, just like him, is full of shit, it's phony, and it means nothing. He owes them at least an apology, because it is so low, and every single woman is understanding and sympathizing, even with their Republican if they're Democrat, or their Democrat if they're Republican sister who is unfortunately dealing with this type of issue. All right. He really, really fucked up this time.
And when you start to look at, what his positions are, what it's very clear, obviously, is that they're all just anti-women. And that's the Republican platform in general, right? It's at every stage of a pregnancy, it's an attack on women, right? That's part of their attack on IVF, right? And then their attack on women's reproductive rights during the pregnancy, and then post-term as well. Now they go after, they call them childless cat ladies. It's every portion of it. It's an attack on women. It's anti-women. And with Donald Trump, a actual predator leading the ticket, it's just so clear what they are really all about. And also, J.D. Vance is weak. You can see it in his eyes. He is weak. He's someone who could be broken. He's someone who's easily manipulated. That's why Donald Trump liked the guy. But this is a fraud, a phony. This is someone who Vladimir Putin would quite literally eat up. You know how Trump talks about Hannibal Lecter eating your brains? This is a guy who Vladimir Putin would eat this guy's brains and make him watch. This guy is weak, pathetic. Yeah. He's a loser. He's misogynistic. He's a phony. He's a fraud. And there's a reason that his approval rating is like 33%, like negative approvals, the most despised VP pick in history, Cohen. I mean, the worst.
Yeah. Now, look, again, there's nothing here that you can say. And to, those that are putting in the comments and so on, yes, Ben and I refer to him as Shady Vance. So you have Von Shits in Pants and the Shady Vance ticket. That's what you got. And the thing that I am most curious about is it's not as if Republicans don't know who Von Shits in Pants is. We all know who he is by now. We have all lived with him long enough. You don't maybe my knowledge of him is greater because of the decade plus time that I spent with him shoulder to shoulder, and a lot of the things he says are bullshit. But we now have a good enough understanding of Shady Vance as well. Being, as Ben went through it, he's just a liar, right? And he's a phony and a fraud and so on. And everything else and in between him, like misogynist and a sexist and so on. How would they even still, these two yutzes, how are these two yutzes still even in a race with somebody like Joe Biden or somebody now like Kamala Harris? How could you put the two into the same bucket for the same job as she? And when people say, well, you know, I don't really like her position on so-and-so, who gives a shit? At this point in time, we know who the Republican ticket is, who it consists of, Von Schitzenpants and Shady Vance. So why is there even a race here? The numbers should be as they were with this crazy amount of money that poured into the Harris campaign, like close to $250 million in 3 days. Could you imagine? And Elon Musk backing out now. Yeah, we're over 200 million. Could you imagine this? Whereas the 45 million that Donald was relying upon from Elon Musk was non-existent. Elon Musk basically called him out and said, yeah, that came from the Wall Street Journal. No, yeah, sure it did, right? Either you didn't want to give it, you don't want to say it, or the other guy made it up. It's one or the other. It's simply one or the other. There should be right now numbers that are saying things like Kamala Harris, if the election was held today, would beat Donald by 45 points. That's the way the numbers should read. Because regardless of whether there's a policy about Kamala you like, you don't like she's a woman, you don't like she's a black woman, you don't like she has Indian descent, you don't like the fact she didn't show up to the Netanyahu congressional hearing or what have you. Okay, I got it. But as Joe Biden said, don't compare me to the almighty. Compare me to the alternative. And there is no competition here. One person is pro-democracy, pro-equality, with whatever bad stuff. And there are things I don't like that Kamala Harris believes. But isn't that normal? Am I supposed to believe what she believes 100%? The answer is no. The answer is no. And there are things that Donald would say that I actually agree with. But she is kind. She's caring. She believes in equality. She believes in normal gun control. She believes in climate change. She believes in, the advancement of all people. She doesn't believe in providing solely tax breaks to the uber rich that wouldn't know the difference. It's a decimal point. I mean, and many more things. So again, I just don't get it. She believes in democracy and the other guy believes in autocracy. Plain and simple. How is there even a race?
Well, it shows you the pull of media propaganda out there that pushes, all of this disinformation every single day, how these billion-dollar corporations control local media, what Rupert Murdoch's done with Fox, how the corporate media, even like MSNBC, CNN, both sides the issues. I mean, one of the advantages with President Biden passing the torch has actually been an ability for the first time for the country who's not watching the Midas Touch Network to focus on what it is that Shady Vance and Donald Trump are saying. And if you were watching the Midas Touch Network, which lots of people were and sharing these clips, there were a lot of Americans who did know about this, but a lot of Americans who got their news from corporate media are just seeing a lot of these clips now. And they're saying, whoa, what? And so, Michael, I think we have to wait a little bit for that to set in, because that's actually happening now. We've had the media reporting all day on GDP growth, 2.8%, right?
Right.
Exceeding expectations. When have we really heard the media talk about how strong the economy is right now by these objective metrics? And so, because all they've been focused on was ageism and mocking President Biden's stutter, and and then wondering, is President Biden going to drop out? They weren't focusing on actual facts and issues and data, which we were here on this network.
And by the way, do you know who else wasn't? Donald Trump and his campaign people, which is why that they are so apoplectic right now in the fact that Biden did the right thing. He did the heroic thing, and he went ahead and he jumped and he stepped aside, passing, as he said, the torch to the next generation. He is a true American hero. But remember, the Trump campaign, they're sitting back and saying, holy shit, we got this. I can't believe it. We got this. And we don't even need to do a lot. In fact, Donald doesn't even need to say a single truth. He doesn't even need to speak. And simply just allowing Joe Biden to be, unfortunately, Joe Biden, based on the age, they believe that they had it. And they had all of these attack ads ready to go. They're all in the can, as they so to say. And now it's not there anymore. And now they have this typhoon, this hurricane, this just force of nature that is sweeping out there. And then, of course, you listen to Sean Hannity turn around and say it's a sugar high. Don't worry, it's going to, she's going to come down and people are going to stop. Oh, I don't think so. First of all, did you ever realize what a great laugh that Kamala has? And the way that she's able to interject something that she says with almost like a very whimsical type of a chuckle that's not nasty chuckle, but you know exactly where she's going with it. You know who actually I've seen do that and do it very successfully, believe it or not, was Ivanka. She had the ability to catch you with what she's saying, and then she would say something and sort of either like smile about it, or a sort of like a very loving type of a chuckle, and you just sort of get drawn into it. That's what's happening. Yeah, Hurricane Kamala. Thank you. Thank you. That's what she is. She's like a hurricane right now, and they don't know how to dodge it. They're like in paper huts, and she's just like a typhoon, this hurricane that's just rolling right over them. Good for her. She does. She's got a great giggle. She's got a great authentic way about her, and it shows.
And I like that she's bringing the fight right to Donald Trump. She's like, let's debate. Let's go.
You know why I like that too, Ben? Because now I don't have to be the only one out there fighting.
Yeah, well, no, it's great though to have the instant response, her challenging him, her saying, look, the American people, this is what she said in the post. Trump agreed on September 10th to debate, and now appears he's backpedaling. Voters deserve to see the split screen that exists on a debate stage. I'm ready. So let's go. She's got the big rally sizes right now. The energy is there. And frankly, the polls are there as well. There are some that are mixed, but in a lot of these polls, swing state polls and others, she's up. I mean, this poll right here, the Morning Consult, go back to that Morning Consult poll where Trump led Biden by 4. Kamala's up by 1 right now. And this is just over 2 days. This isn't even considering like post-convention. And I think it's going to be a historical convention when President Biden gives his speech and introduces Kamala. It's going to be incredible. And then now we're just seeing clips like this all the time. Like this is the JD Vance clip that people are talking about. Jennifer Aniston, who never gets involved in politics or rarely gets involved. She posted about this clip and how disgusting it was. And she utilized our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski's post in her post. Here, just watch this video that Ron unearthed. Here, play this clip.
But look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question and
how is that taken out of context?
Wow.
How is that taken?
First of all, Pete Buttigieg, they do have children. I believe, right? He and his partner, I think they do have children. Because I remember there was a whole thing about him taking some time off. And AOC, trust me, she'll have children, right? If she wants. I'm certain that that's not an issue. And talking about, this is just an attack, a sexist, a misogynistic attack. It is a homophobic attack by a guy who obviously, based upon what the reporting was, has his own issues in his own head and, can't come to grips with it for whatever his own personal reasons are. And truthfully, I don't give a shit. I really don't. If he wants to live his fake life, I don't care. I don't care anything about the guy. And there's absolutely nothing that I find redeeming about him. I really believe that Don Jr. and Peter Thiel really they fucked Donald, plain and simple, in the choice to have this guy as the vice presidential nominee. And you know what, my friends? I couldn't be happier.
Well, take a look, though, at Donald Trump at his speech yesterday in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's not exactly like this is a guy who exercises good judgment. And I'm glad the entire country and the world can focus on these speeches. Look, after these speeches, we would do a list, everyone, and we would say, look at what he's doing. He's making weird grunting noises. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter. He's saying he'd rather be electrocuted than eaten by sharks. These things get very bizarre. He changed the words to the national anthem to a J6 choir song. He yells, "Release the hostages, Joe," about the January 6th insurrectionists. It's horrific stuff that this guy does. Here, this was Donald Trump yesterday. He was doing this throughout yesterday's speech. Here, play this first clip.
And she goes, Olympic tryouts. Mom and Dad are in the front. And I hate to do it. My wife says it's so unprecedented when you do that. Can you believe it? So I'm embarrassed. I used to give it a big push, but now I'm embarrassed. I know I'm embarrassed to do it. She said, darling, your speech was wonderful, but please do stop with the weightlifting and the swimming. It's so unprecedented. She's a class act. But I said, but people like it. People like it.
And then he did it again. Here, play the clip. I think we have another one.
Yeah, turn off your cameras for a second, okay? Boy, that's a lot of cameras. Man. No, they get it up and they can't quite do it. Mom, I'm sorry, Mom.
Then he talks about Hannibal Lecter. Play the clip.
Prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Okay, they say, why would he mention Hannibal Lecter? He must be cognitively in trouble. No, these are real stories. Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lamb. He's a lovely man. He wants to have you for dinner. He'd like to have you for dinner.
Absolutely belongs in a presidential speech, along with the photo over there of Greg Kelly, who, if I'm not mistaken, lost his job at Fox for Me Too. The funny thing is everything that they project onto the Democrats is really nothing more than their own deflated sense of themselves. It's really terrible. And you know what? I said something which some people are mistaking. I'm not saying, not for a split second, that Kamala Harris is not a parent, right? You don't have to give birth to a child to be a parent. She is a parent, and there are many people that have stepkids, and that's not the point that I was making. I was making the point that dealt with the stupidity and the misogyny and the sexism that was coming from shady Vance.
I want to show you one more clip right here. First off, here's just a photo that Donald Trump's team posted yesterday. This is a Chris LaCivita. Said on Trump Force One, "Hey Joe, you're fired." I'm not sure if we got this photo right here. And I thought this was a great response to this, which is I see a picture of hope and a picture of hate. See a picture of a wise man and a fool. See a picture here of a leader and a wannabe dictator, a winner and a loser. 1944 and 2024. Trump is too old. He should step aside. Jim Jones looks like Mother Teresa now. And you see that photo right there of Trump looking in as President Biden's giving this historic address.
See, I would just turn around and say, I see a hero, and then I see a zero.
And then let me just show you this one, this clip too. This was on Fox this morning. And so Donald Trump calls in and Donald Trump tells people, we don't need votes. I have so many votes. I don't even need your vote. That's my instruction to his voters, he says. Here, play this clip.
We have lawyers at every poll booth. We have, that's what in fact, my instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes. I'm in Florida now, and I drove to another location yesterday, and every house has a Trump Vance sign on it. Every single house. There's not a house that we passed that doesn't. We have the votes. What we have to
drive
do.
by Charlie Chris' house then.
Oh, I know.
Just saying.
Charlie. I think Charlie probably has one up too. If you want to know that.
He's a Republican.
But everybody has. It's amazing, the spirit. And I'll say this. We had two elections. The first election, we did great. The second election, we did much better than the first election. But this election has more spirit than I've ever seen ever before. And that's because they've seen how bad these people are at government.
And next up Saturday in Minnesota. And next up Saturday in Minnesota.
Remember this, they're destroying our country, Brian.
Right.
They are destroying our country.
No, and that's where there needs to be. If no one's destroying your country, and as Governor Shapiro said, stop shit talking the United States of America. We've actually never been stronger than we are now using all objective data. And Michael Cohen, you say, how is this still even close? It's because you have powerful propaganda networks like Fox shit talk the country. Talk down.
Ben, let me tell you, there's not a single Harris sign on Mar-a-Lago property anywhere. Okay. I mean, that's literally how delusional and how stupid that he sounds. But can I say, you bring up one of the best points that I have heard so far. Why are we even allowing this dipshit to shit talk the United States of America? Even if, in fact, that there's even an ounce of truth to what he's saying. Since when do you shit on your own country and you want to be the president of the United States? He has not ever said a single thing positive about this country other than what he says he's going to do in order to make it great again. All right. First of all, America has always been great, and America didn't lose its greatness. All right. There are things we lost. There are things that we need to do to make better. But America has always been great. It is the envy of the world. We are the shining beacon at the top of the hill, and everybody wants to be America. You know who doesn't want America to be America? The guy who's running as the Republican nominee. It makes no sense to me at all. Zilch.
Hey, Michael Cohen, you're doing a exclusive Zoom chat, aren't you, as soon as this episode ends? So we did a double header today. So earlier this morning, I did a Zoom meeting with our patrons. And then as soon as this episode ends, for those who belong to patreon.com/political beatdown, you could sign up right now, patreon.com/political beatdown. You go there right now, you sign up, and then in the feed, there's an exclusive Zoom link that you can click to meet Michael Cohen, ask him questions. It's not even going to be me on there. It's just pure Michael Cohen for 30 minutes to an hour, all Michael Cohen. So if you want to meet Michael Cohen, patreon.com/political beatdown as soon as the show ends. So 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. Let's just take our first and only ad break of this episode, shall we?
If the beginning of summer has you feeling farmers market vibes like I do every time I pass Union Square, look no further than Green Chef, the first certified organic meal kit company. It brings the flavors of the farmers market to you with fresh, seasonal organic produce in every box, plus premium proteins like organic eggs, sustainable source seafood, and antibiotic and hormone-free chicken. I mean, all of these get delivered right to your door. Plus, you don't have to guess what to make with your farm fresh items. I mean, with Green Chef's easy-to-follow recipes and pre-measured and prepped ingredients, you'll be serving up a restaurant-worthy meal in no time. Green Chef contributes to a healthy lifestyle with easy and delicious menu recipes like fresh seasonal salads and grain bowls. I mean, they say you are what you eat, so why not eat the best? And Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating. Let me say that again. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating. And let me tell you about the convenience. First of all, you have to try these unique ingredients and the unexpected flavor combinations to keep you clean, routine fresh from different dietary preferences like keto, Mediterranean, and more. And the convenience and the variety that you get with Green Chef, it goes beyond dinner recipes. I mean, easily add items to your weekly box from Green Market. That's the Mindful Eater's one-stop shop for high-quality, carefully curated goods. So when I looked online for options, I saw this and I was hooked. It said, what's better than bacon in your salad? And I'm saying, I don't know, what? Bacon plus shrimp in your salad. There's the answer. So listen, my friends, go right now to greenchef.com/beat50 and use code BEAT50, that's BEAT, the number 50, to get 50% off. You listen to what I'm saying? 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. So go to greenchef.com/beat50 and use code BEAT50 to get 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. So order your Green Chef meal today, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
There you go. Cohen, how about those sponsors, huh? Great stuff.
Yeah, by the way, it happened to have been good. I was looking on, online to see which one I wanted to eat. And all of a sudden I saw this one with bacon and I was like, oh shit, I love that. And then what could be better? I don't know, bacon and shrimp. I was like, dude, I'm in.
Cohen, you see the new Midas Touch video we put out earlier today? We call it We're Not Going Back. It's really good. Here, let me show it to you and let me get your review. Let's play it.
Donald Trump wants to take our country backward, but we are not going back. We are not going back.
The tear gas was used to remove peaceful protesters from Lafayette Park.
The president setting up this photo op for himself, dispersing peaceful protesters. He's holding up a Bible.
This is a mass grave being dug for coronavirus victims at New York City's Potter's Field.
They were peaceful people. These were great people. The love in the air, I've never seen anything like it.
A group on one side and you had a group on the other. Very fine people on both sides.
You can do anything. Grab him by the pussy.
I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade.
We are not going back.
Come on, that's pretty good, eh?
Not good. Fantastic. And that's the slogan. That's the slogan. Trump had his when he won, lock her up, right? How about we're not going back? Look at just the difference in the rhetoric. But I keep talking about this sort of the distinction between the two, on my YouTube channel. And to those of you who have joined into it, we are on the journey to 100,000. You may have heard me say it last time. We're at literally like 93,000+ so far. I mean, it's it's like a rock. You know best. I mean, you know more about YouTube than I do. I mean, it seems to me
I've rarely seen a YouTube channel grow that quick. If there's been kind of any, I don't think any on the political side. I mean, we're talking 100,000 subs. You're on the verge of that in basically a month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? I mean, that's really good. It's at the Michael Cohen. And so you do new content every day, sometimes 2 videos, some days 3 videos, some days 1, but usually about 2 videos. It's a great place for additional Michael Cohen content. So just search at The Michael Cohen Show. That's at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe. Make sure you turn your notifications on there. And let's grow Michael Cohen's YouTube channel. But that's kind of, the message right there from Kamala Harris. We're not going back. This is future focused. It's what President Biden touched upon in his Oval Office address as well about passing the torch. And he said, look, I think that my record should have meant I get another term, but I also understand for our democracy, it is time to pass the torch. And as I was watching President Biden give that Oval Office address, I was thinking to myself, Donald Trump could never, would never. And it's this baton handoff for democracy that is something that I think this historical moment will always be remembered. Sometimes it's what you don't do that is just as powerful as what you do. And Donald Trump, when there's crisis, he always does wrong, right? And I think what President Biden recognized that in this time of crisis for him, it was time after everything to step back. Even though the data to me was suggesting, even after the debate, I think President Biden would have won. I think the data was there. I just think he thought, look, we'll never be able to talk about just the way the media coverage is. We'll never be able to talk about anything else. It's just going to be a constant news cycle about my age. And I, as unfair as that is, I can't let that be the discussion point right now, because this is bigger. This is about our democracy. I mean, you don't get much more powerful than that, Michael.
No, you don't. And your ad was incredible. How many of our brigaders, how many of those that are supporters of Midas Touch Network, Political Beatdown, Mea Culpa, my Michael Cohen Show, how many of you believe that we should ever want to go back? Right? We don't want to go back. Every advancement brings us to a place that makes us better. It makes us more compassionate. It makes us more understanding and sympathetic to others, right? I mean, look from civil rights to LGBTQ plus to now transphobia. I mean, look at who wants to go back to a day when, depending upon who you loved, you had to hide. Or if you wanted an abortion, you had to do one in a back alley. This is what the Republicans are pushing. This is what Donald Trump doesn't seem to get, because the people that he surrounded himself are true believers. See, Donald's not a believer in anything. He's just a bullshit artist. It's the people that are around him, like a J.D. Vance, all right, who is a true believer, or people like a Steve Miller, who's a fucking wackadoodle, or Steve Bannon. I mean, these folks that he has around him, they believe this shit, that there should be a complete federal ban on abortion, IVF, mifepristone, or, I mean, they believe this is what they believe. Who wants to go back to that time? Not me. And that's why, Ben, kudos to you and to the brothers and to everybody there at the network themselves. That ad, I hate to say it, as great as MTN is, that ad doesn't just belong on this network. It belongs it belongs literally out there on every station, with the MTN at the bottom, but it belongs on every station, because I think every American who sees that, there's some aspect to what you showed in those various different clips that touches on the soul of each and every person. For me, there were two that stuck out. All of them touched me, but the two that really is, of course, the January 6th attack on the Capitol, because you've heard me say this before. I worked there. I worked there in 87 and 88. One of my favorite things to do whenever I'm in D.C. is just to walk around the Capitol. It is one of the most magnificent. It's why it's called the People's House. And then the other one, of course, was Charlottesville, when you had these white supremacists, these neo-Nazis screaming, "Jews will not replace us," as the son of a Holocaust survivor. It's so offensive to see a man who I regarded, who I worked for, turn around and say the stupid shit that there are good people on both sides. There are no good Nazis. Let me be very clear about that. There are no good Nazis.
Let me just give you some additional data points. So earlier in the day, this is what Vice President Kamala Harris said about debating. Here's the video of her on the tarmac. Let's play the clip. She said, I'm ready to go. Is Donald Trump scared? You scared, Donald? Here, watch this.
Let's listen in to Vice President Harris. So sorry.
Previously agreed upon September 10th debate. He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling, but I'm ready. And I think the voters deserve to see the split screen that exists in this race on a debate stage. And so I'm ready. Let's go.
Will you do it on?
One of our producers made this graphic, Michael Cohen. Von Shits and Pants, Shady Vance, 2024. I'm just not sure this is a winning ticket. When he pulls up the graphic, I'll show you in a moment. I think you will definitely enjoy it. Jeremy, get that when you can. In the meantime, I just want to show you some.
Jeremy, I have that trademarked. No.
You gave us a license in perpetuity on that. Here's there it is right there, Cohen. Cohen, your reaction to this campaign sign.
My reaction
Shits and Pants, Shady Vance 2024. Go, your reaction.
Well, okay, so one quick change, please, Jeremy. It's P-A-N-T-Z. It's not with an S. He's German. It's Von Shits and Pants, and it's with a Z. So please make that correction. Otherwise, genius. I told you Jeremy was a genius. And Salty and Sydney, you have geniusness over there. It's too bad. It's too bad. Stuff like that needs to go viral. So again, to Brigaders, as soon as I get them to send that to me, I'm putting it out there on my social media, and I'm going to ask everybody, right, to turn around and to repost it.
Well, one of the things I think I want to reflect on, then I want to give everybody these data points, though, is that with all of the frustration, I think that's putting it lightly, with corporate media out there, it's everybody watching this that built this. I mean, look, you and I are blessed that we get to do this as a job. We get to be messengers at the Midas Touch Network, right? I quit my law job. I do this full time now. I get to spend some time with my little doggies in the background that you see, and I get to spend time with all of the Brigaders and the Midas Mighty out there. But this media network is not possible without you. And just think about what you've built just over the past 48 hours. I mean, those big JD Vance stories, the Diet Mountain Dew story, you know who clipped that? Acyn, A-C-Y-N, and he's a producer at the Midas Touch Network. The story that when JD Vance, the clip that was unearthed of him talking about childless cat ladies running the country, that was Ron Filipkowski, our editor-in-chief, your editor-in-chief, who found that. So because of your contributions, your support, your spreading the word, you subscribing to this YouTube channel and the other channels, we've built this. Like, you've created the network that you've always wanted. So when you've been pissed at this network or that network not covering it, you've contributed to building this, which I think is a testament to the power of a grassroots movement and a community, and doing this organically and building this brick by brick the way that we did. Here's the press release that Kamala Harris just put out moments ago. Statement on a 78-year-old criminal's Fox News appearance. After watching Fox News this morning, we only have one question. Is Donald Trump okay? Main takeaways Trump gave to the American people. Trump praised Project 2025. Trump is flustered and lashing out. When Trump wasn't lying, he was making threats. Abortion bans are good. Mail-in voting is bad. Praised dictators because he wants to be one. Trump is clearly worried. He made the wrong pick in J.D. Vance. Trump is old and quite weird. This guy shouldn't be president ever again. If anyone wants an alternative, Kamala Harris is offering one, and people do. The Act Blue posted that since Sunday afternoon, small dollar donors have raised over $200 million site-wide on Act Blue. The unprecedented amount shows an energy and commitment to the grassroots movement is what will help Democrats win across the country in November. The new Morning Consult poll that just came out from July 22nd to 2024. Kamala Harris, 46%. Donald Trump, 45%. In the last one, Trump was up by 4 to President Biden. You look at Wisconsin polling, you look at Michigan polling, and Kamala is surging there as well. And finally, now, as the Southpaw account says, the thing about a vibe shift is you get headlines that CNN and others would never have written about 10 days ago, like this one. The U.S. economy is pulling off something historic, expanding at a robust 2.8% rate in the second quarter. The economy is about to stick what's called a soft landing. 51 months of the fastest annualized GDP growth since 1969. The U.S. economy has now been in an expansion for 51 months with annualized real GDP growth of 4.5% over that time. The U.S. economy is humming. GDP growth exceeds expectations, and despite the catastrophic pandemic, we're now ahead of projections from 2019. Even with the pandemic, we're still exceeding the expectations because President Biden steadied the ship and the Biden-Harris administration was able to achieve this. Those are real numbers. That's real data right there, folks. And then let me show you President Biden's speech in the Oval, because I thought this is the contrast between Donald Trump going, like that's what Trump does at his speech. Do you know my friend Hannibal Lecter? He'll eat your brains. Compare that to President Biden's speech in the Oval Office, where President Biden said, look, I believe my record as president merited a second term, but nothing's going to come in the way of saving our democracy. Here, play this clip.
When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much, a cause of American democracy itself, must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
Michael Cohen, time for the two-finger salute. I want to remind everybody as well, though, after this live ends, you're going to be doing, did you get the correct spelling right there? Von Schitzenpants and Shady Vance 2024?
It's going out. It's going out as we speak.
As soon, I saw you were very focused there. I was like, what's Cohen doing? That's a great use of time. I'm glad that's what you were doing. Go to patreon.com/political beatdown, patreon.com/political beatdown. If you ever wanted to meet Michael Cohen, ask him questions, as soon as this live ends, there is a link on the feed at patreon.com/political beatdown that only the patrons have access to. Look, we don't have outside investors here. So we're not trying to gatekeep. We're just trying to find fun, unique ways to help build these shows and build the network. So Cohen will be there if you want to meet him. Sign up now, patreon.com/political beatdown. Look at the feed once you sign up, and then you'll click the Zoom link. And then as soon as this show ends, it may take Cohen a minute or two to sign on, but then he'll sign on and see you there, and then he'll start answering questions. Two fingers salute, Michael Cohen. Who does it go to today?
Two fingers salute goes hands down to Shady Vance for being the fucking jerk off that he is, the disrespectful. Does he not realize that without women, that there would be no civilization? Does he not understand that that there are more women in America than there are men, that they are the better and the bigger voters in this country? Does he not understand any of this, Mr. Politician, right? Mr. Governor, or whatever the fuck that you were before? Because truthfully, I never heard of you before. And if I never saw that fucking face of yours, I would be more than happy. So to you, Shady Vance, fuck you on behalf of every single woman I know and that I don't know. We all say the same thing.
There it is, Michael Cohen. Remember to sign up, patreon.com/political beatdown. Remember to subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast as well. It's right here on the Midas Touch Network. Wherever you get audio podcasts, just search Mea Culpa. There's a red one and a blue one. Do not click the red one. Click the blue one only. Michael Cohen's Mea Culpa. That's where you get the new Mea Culpa episodes. Please make sure you subscribe. Also, subscribe to Michael Cohen's Political Beatdown with me, wherever audio podcasts are available. It helps this show as well. So you can search Mea Culpa, then search Political Beatdown, then go and support our pro-democracy sponsors. The link in the description below, and then at The Michael Cohen Show. That's Michael Cohen's YouTube channel. Michael Cohen and I have a friendly bet. I think his channel can get to 100,000 subs today. Cohen thinks it'll take until tomorrow. I said, Cohen, you got to believe in yourself, buddy. Just trust yourself, Michael. I think we didn't actually have a friendly bet, but just go over there at The Michael Cohen. You think that would ever be something Michael Cohen would say? Go to at The Michael Cohen Show on YouTube. No one can see that, Michael Cohen, because your phone is too bright. But there it is, 93,390. Let's get that Michael Cohen plaque today at 100,000 subs. I absolutely love it. By the way, a funny inside joke that I have with Michael Cohen is, when we curate these shows, I'm usually the one who finds the graphics and the text and some of the videos. So whenever Cohen takes out his phone, you never know with Cohen what's going to be on that, what the image is. You never know. And so that's the moment where I lose control over the show. And you'll always see me for a moment. I'm like, oh, what is he about to show us? I haven't vetted this.
Please don't send some of those photos that you get from some of our beautiful followers.
I haven't vetted it. I don't know what you're talking about. I need to vet these things. In any event, thanks. What are you talking about, Cohen? Thank you. I'm feeling stupid. Have a good one, everybody. Patreon.com/political beatdown. Have a good. Join the Zoom chat with Cohen right now.
See you in a minute.